Good morning and welcome to the June 18th meeting of the Facilities Committee. I call this meeting to order. We have all members of the committee on, Mr. Helms, Mrs. Merrill, and myself. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
4-0. Thank you. Next is the motion to approve the May 5th, 2020, the May 21st, 2020, and the June 2nd, 2020 open session meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is Wedington Acres. It was one of the subdivisions that we reassigned on May 5th. We talked about this twice in Facilities Committee and twice at the board level. We had looked at some new subdivisions that were coming up in the Antioch area because Antioch is currently at 122% of capacity and Wedington Middle's at 104. At the time that it's 25 building lots in Wedington Acres. At the time that we made the decisions from March through May 5th, we believed that there had been no lots sold in Wedington Acres because that's what the county's records show. Mrs. Merrill and I guess other members of the committee received emails from property owners who had purchased lots back in November, some in January, some in March. So we're bringing this back for discussion at the board, at the facilities level to discuss it because this wasn't a wholesale redistricting. This was just reassigning different subdivisions. We have been looking at new subdivisions as they come in. We do impact statements for all the municipalities in the county when they have new developments that they are considering for rezoning. So we're trying to stay ahead of it because we don't want any one cluster or any one school to be overutilized. So that's kind of where we were. And I think we've moved 5 subdivisions so far we've reassigned those. So I guess Mrs. Merrill, would you like to?
Well, and just to add on to what you said, Kathy, it's very important that we all recognize that this particular undeveloped neighborhood, Wedington Acres, this was land directly across the street from the school and did not have any homes on it. So we're using the term subdivision very loosely because I think the ones that we moved did not have any homes, in the area. So, so after learning that the county's website was inaccurate and not up to date, after hearing from people who had purchased, I think there's 14 lots maybe that have been already sold and about to break ground. They've already been through the design phase with architects, and they're ready to break ground right when we thought that this was undeveloped land. So I think given that there's only 25 homes, 14 of which future homes, 14 lots have been sold directly across the street from the school. And the thing,
can I add one thing too? When
the families that we heard from have kids already in the school, so that's the last thing I wanted to say. Their kids were already in the 120% capacity. That's all I had to say.
I guess all I wanted to add was that when we talked about Wedington Acres and some other stuff, it would have been if Antioch's utilization went down, it would have been a subdivision that we would have put back into Antioch because it sits right across the street from the school. So I think that all plays into this. So
exactly. I think that is something that Kathy and I spoke in detail about is if there were a realignment in 3 to 5 years, this is certainly one, with 25 homes directly across the street. It would only make sense that we would put that at Antioch. So we might as well do it now rather than later, especially given the fact that the families we've heard from do have kids in Antioch. So so I think it would be best to just go ahead and take care of that now than to wait for another realignment.
I guess in my view, the fact that we didn't know that the lots were sold at the time that we were making the decision, for me, is the primary issue. And the fact that the county's website's behind, it makes it difficult to have known that at the time that we were doing it.
Exactly.
So given that 57% of the lots had been sold at the time we made the decision, ultimately in May, that kind of bears a little bit more on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So does anyone have a suggestion or a motion or?
Well, I would like to make a motion that we recommend to the full board at the July meeting that we assign Wedington Acres to the Antioch Wedington cluster.
I'll second that.
Okay.
I agree with everything that's been said so far. So.
Thank you, Mr. Helms. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, that's a 4-0 vote. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the new Salem elementary school water line easement. Mr. Burnett.
Okay, Union County is seeking to acquire a permanent utility easement and temporary construction easement at New Salem Elementary School. They have a purchase offer of $14,250. That is, they arrived at that from an appraisal from Integra Realty. We have used Integra Realty in the past. So the recommendation is a pending legal review of the easement agreement. Staff requests the Facilities Committee recommend to the Board of Education to approve accepting the offer as proposed in the amount of $14,250. We do have the appraisal attached. We have a map, 2 maps attached, or 2 drawings. I'm happy to try to answer any questions you may have.
We talked about this at a prior meeting, correct?
We did.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
it was at the time, it was for information, just giving everybody a heads up.
We need more information, correct? Okay. Does anyone, so I need a motion to recommend to the full board the offer on the water line easement.
So moved.
Second.
All those in, any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
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 4-0, thank you. CATA, next up is the CATA high school door hardware bids, Mr. Burnett.
Okay, we had received bids June 11th. It's for replacing doors and door hardware, various locations. For the most part, they're old doors that stem back from when CATA was the old Career Center. 7 Oaks Doors and Hardware provided the lowest responsive bid at $148,310.99. That exceeded our available funds of $93,549. So we're proposing to use savings from that category from the 1920 CIP. And the funding source for this project is the 1920 CIP. So pending legal review of contracts and approval of the, I'm sorry. Yeah, staff requests the Facilities Committee recommend the Board of Education approve the contracting with 7 Oaks Doors and Hardware in the amount of $148,310.99.
Thank you. Do you have a motion?
Yes, motion to approve and I guess recommend to the full board.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, thank you very much. Next is the radio service contract, Mr. Strickland.
Good morning. For your consideration this morning is a interlocal agreement with Union County. It's our radio service agreement. It's been in effect since 2015. The county provides us with procurement, installation, operation, and maintenance of the radios that support our transportation system. This not only includes the radios on the buses themselves, it includes the base stations at Venus Street. It includes the handhelds that we use, and it includes the use of 3 towers where we have antennas placed for the operation of this system. This is an agreement that is for $167,000 yearly. That's paid in 2 installments, and it's paid out of state transportation funds. And pending final legal review of the agreement, we're requesting the Facilities Committee approval and then forward to the board so that we can then forward it to the BOCC for their final approval. This is a great contract for us. We get great service from the county, and it is a well-needed service. I'll say that.
Are there any changes from previous years?
No, they have done some software upgrades, but other than that, and they're helping us with our new transportation facility getting up and running. But other than that, it's the same.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve from committee and send to the full board at the July meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I think that we're also going to try to have a board meeting before the July one in order to get some of these bids done, and they can start work over the summer too.
That's yet to be determined, but maybe.
Okay. Construction update.
Okay, Transportation Center is coming along nicely. The big question that we, of course, have is the how much rock are we going to encounter, and how long is it going to take to get through that? We don't have those answers yet. That work is still in progress. Overall, the project is 87% complete. As far as the on-site work, the staff parking lot appeared to be ready to be paved when I was out there last. The weather certainly hasn't cooperated, so I don't think that has been paved since I was there. Might have been yesterday. As far as inside the building, finishes are coming along nicely. They have carpet down. They're protecting the carpet. It's paint, ceiling grids in, ceiling tile is in. It's looking like we want it to look at this point. Currently, the completion date is a late July, and we have furniture that has arrived. We're temporarily storing that at one of our school gyms. From the pictures, you can see the bus wash bay, which we're excited to see that coming in. And Sun Valley High School, that work is progressing. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster on that job with some various issues. One of those being some COVID-19 related issues affecting some of the trades pulling off the site and then coming back on. The renovation work is very much underway. I have a picture of window replacement, asbestos abatement, and then the area in the old cafeteria dining. We're repurposing that to be performing arts. I have a photo of that, so it may be hard for folks to recognize that area, which is a good thing. And that specific area is tracking for a sooner completion than we had originally anticipated. We thought that was going to be more of a September or maybe even later completion. But that's looking.
I have a question.
Sure.
In there, you said the contractor's most recent schedule showed an early August final there. What's the there? The whole thing or
That
the
was
new?
G&H. That was G&H, which is the new construction. That's the admin, dining, CTE space.
So it
we
is
talked.
the new. They do realize that we have school starting on August 17th, right?
Yes, and we have had several meetings on, what that
used to
needs
say
to be.
July, right? That used
Well,
to
what-
say July.
Certainly what we told them is that needed to be July 31st. And that, and so that's they're working to see how they can make that happen. On capital projects, the Porter Ridge baseball, that's going to be a item later in our agenda. The Piedmont High School, that design, that's the athletic and building improvements. That's the softball field and some related work, the grandstand to the football field. So that design is nearing completion. They have been getting some responses back from AHJ's authorities having jurisdiction, for review comments. We are trying to, and we had a meeting actually yesterday afternoon on trying to how we're going to bid that project, what kind of bid alternates we might be looking at, what's the sequencing of the work, what kind of time frames are we looking at, and when we think the contractor can access some of the areas of the site and building to work.
Okay, I have one question on Piedmont before we move on. The replacement of their stadium lights, is that it's going to be done in time for graduation?
Excellent question. So yes, that's a CIP item. We are working to replace the stadium lights with LED lighting. That was approved a little while ago. The contractor is hoping to have their final inspections. It's either today or tomorrow. And that, so we expect that'll be we'll be able to use the lights after final inspection. So we don't see an issue at this time.
That's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Monroe High School. Are we talking about that next?
Sure. So we got the stadium. What we're doing there is we're replacing the turf for the most part. All the new synthetic turf is down. There's some logo work and things like that that still needs to be done. What hasn't happened yet, but is underway, is the infill, and that's all the pellets, the rubber pellets that need to happen. After that, then they'll be moving over to the track work. But we're in good shape for that. And if you want to mention anything on that, that'd be great.
I saw on Facebook yesterday that they announced that they're going to hold their graduation at Monroe High School Stadium. So that's awesome. Congratulations to you and your staff to get that done in time. It's amazing. So we need the same kind of miracle for Sun Valley, but we're super happy about Monroe High School. That's amazing. So thank you for what you did.
Yes, Monroe High School was a very nice win. It is a nice opportunity. It's actually just a window of opportunity that we have, that things just happen to fit nicely. For it, we hadn't torn up
The
the
one
track.
thing with some pluses from COVID-19, right?
We didn't get as much of a head start there as we would have liked, but it has worked out well. And before we resurface the track, we'll be able to have folks in there for the ceremony.
Okay.
Um,
Great, thank you. Any other questions, committee, on the update? Okay. Next is the change order update. Not much to it.
No, we just had one. It's a zero cost change. We're still able to use allowances. It was at the transportation project, and Recall, we don't have water and sewer, yet at that site. That's part of the rock issue. At this time, the contractor.
That did get approved at the county's meeting, so that's good.
Yes, that was very, very helpful.
Yeah.
So this is for water, and it's a
Great.
no change item.
Thank you. And then the last thing on the agenda was the building and zoning permits that everybody has for FYI. I just want to take a minute and thank Mark and Dave and their staff for everything that they've been doing since schools closed to get projects done, especially for our high schools for graduation. It is very much appreciated. And we also appreciate all the work that you put into the bond, very much so. And I just wanted to acknowledge that we put a lot of work into that, and we appreciate what you did. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Our next meeting is July 16th at 9 a.m. and that will be an in-person meeting. If there's nothing else, I need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143, 318, 10, and 11 to review minutes from prior closed session meetings, and pursuant to NCGS 143, 131 for the consideration of bids.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, we're going to get off this call and go into another one. Lauren sent the link. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks.